We're back from SHOT Show, baby. Now, let's go over some of the lessons learned from the trip. I just had the unbelievable privilege to attend SHOT Show 2022, which was an amazing experience and provided me with a lot of learning opportunities that may be beneficial to others thinking of going. So the purpose of this video is to go over some of the lessons learned as a first-time attendee and exhibitor. SHOT Show is run by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and is held in the Convention Center of the Venetian Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. This year, they also added a new secondary location in an adjacent building called the Caesars Forum, not to be confused with the Caesars Palace, which we did and got lost for quite some time. This location is new, so a lot of people were unaware of the additional space, and the bridge to connect to it was not very well marked within the main room. So make sure you're aware of this in future conventions because there were 4 large conference rooms just filled with vendors. It's a convention for professionals and enthusiasts in the firearms, tactical, and preparedness industries. And it's an excellent source of getting hands-on with many different products from an insane number of vendors where you can get real-time feedback and have your questions answered in person. I found this especially useful for things like night vision and suppressors that you usually don't get to see in stores as readily. But starting with Las Vegas itself, I thought that because it's in the middle of the desert, that the weather would be at least comfortably warm. So I was surprised when I found that the temps were more like in the 30s at night and might hit the low 60s during the day. Make sure to bring at least a sweatshirt and probably leave the bathing suit at home as most of the resort pools are closed. Also, long gone are the days where Vegas was affordable and casinos made all their money on gambling. Everything is expensive now and fees are attached to a lot of things. So make sure that you're financially ready for the increased costs of staying for the duration of the convention, in addition to shows you may want to see or any gambling money you may want to throw down. Proud to say, I walked away winning. Moving to information about the convention, I arrived with hearing protection and a pocket full of dreams, looking forward to getting to the range and getting to try out some of the cool new toys brought by manufacturers. But as it turns out, range day is on the Monday of SHOT and is by credentialed invite only, which in retrospect makes sense as they don't want 80,000 people all coming to the range and taking up the time of true industry professionals. But needless to say, it was a bummer not to get to do that. When checking in to get your entry badge, there are several resorts that can print them out depending on where you're staying. However, only the main SHOT Show location in the Venetian had the SHOT Show branded lanyards to be able to wear it around your neck. We also saw several people with nylon covers with their badges, and we found out that several companies offer these as swag within the show, Geisley being a popular provider. So if you're an exhibitor, you can probably wait to get your badge at the main desk. Can't speak if it gets backed up for attendees during the main check-in, but if you want a nylon cover anyways, maybe just get your badge at your resort and a cover inside the show. Speaking of attendees, I was told that this year's SHOT Show had approximately half the normal attendees. Now, of course, the upside to that is we could spend more individual time with potential clients. The downside is that we lost the opportunity to gain exposure to another 40,000-ish potential business deals. So from an exhibitor perspective, it may have been a good show to cut our teeth on, but I'm looking forward to future shows getting back to full capacity and utilizing these lessons learned. In addition to less attendees, many exhibitors, including some big names, pulled out whether due to COVID concerns or protesting the mask mandates. As it was my first time attending, it was a bit of a buzzkill to see some of the bigger booths not there. As for the booths themselves, for potential small exhibitors like ourselves, things such as chairs, tables, and electrical are not included in the price of the booth, and they're not particularly cheap to rent either. This is another cost that you need to take into account when budgeting for space at the largest gun convention in the world. For loading in, or heck, even for all the free swag, we saw people with roller carts, which in hindsight was a very smart idea. We found that carrying everything in our arms from load in, walking around with swag, and load out got rather tiring. If you're a new exhibitor, you are allowed to place your product in the new product showcase. This is an area where companies unveiling new things can all promote in one area as opposed to having to travel to every single booth to see what's being presented. As an attendee, this may be a good location to check out so that you can see if any of the new products are exciting and then make specific plans to visit the booth to get a closer hands-on look. Another thing that caught me off guard was that there are no retail sales allowed. This makes sense for firearms, but I was surprised that other items weren't allowed to be sold. Maybe you already knew this, but I did not. Perhaps I should have done more research. But one way to be more knowledgeable that I highly recommend is to download the SHOT Show app. I found myself using this a lot, and it's actually quite robust and provides a list of vendors with their locations and booth numbers, speakers, schedule of events, personal calendar that you can edit, live notifications of events and giveaways, and most importantly, a map. Because I don't think I can overstate just how huge the show actually is. Even with the app, it's difficult to always locate where you are the first couple of days. Part of that may have to do with a lack of orientation on the map, but what I would do is find some large name brand booths, locate them on the map, and then orient myself. There was one point where my wife and I spent 4 hours on the first floor of the convention in the Venetian and maybe made it to half of the entire level. Again, just huge. A very important lesson learned for myself was pertaining to photos and video. I showed up in Vegas with some cameras and small microphones with the intent of talking with reps at their booths to bring some of SHOT Show to my viewers. However, when I walked in during setup, there are big signs that explicitly say no photos or video, and my heart sank and I died a little inside. But here's the kicker, tons of people were running around videoing and taking photographs. When I asked about this, the general consensus was that it's an accepted practice, and usually as long as you ask permission, most booths will allow you to video, with the possible exception of anything ITAR controlled. So hindsight is 2020, and why I have almost zero B footage for this video was because I was a good boy and didn't take any. But lesson learned, and I'll be trying to get an official media badge for future shows. Some organizational tips for SHOT Show: you are going to meet a ton of people and get a lot of business cards. Keeping track of what you receive could be very useful, whether this is some type of notebook or an app. I know that a learning point for us was that some booths and attendees were using an app, I believe called Swap, that would allow you to scan the QR code on your badge. This would then provide the information you use during registration, so name, phone number, company, etc. But if you don't have a good organizational process, you're going to get home, look through that thick stack of cards you received, and have to try to remember who gave it to you and why. You should also bring some business cards of your own, at least a few, even if you have a digital way of giving your information, if not simply to place some in the random drawings around the show for giveaways. And even if you don't win any of the giveaways, don't fret, because there is a metric ton of potential swag, and some of it's really cool. For example, I'm wearing my free Hawaiian shirt from Retro Rifle, and they were giving out something like 100 free shirts per day. And if you don't want to wait for next SHOT Show to grab one, be sure to check them out online at retro-rifle.com. I would recommend that if you are a person who likes free swag, make sure to account for it. You're either going to need to fly, drive, or ship it home, and especially if it's flying or shipping, you need to account for weight, space, and make sure it's nothing that will get you into trouble. Some companies gave out samples, demo products, stickers, patches, bottles, tools, keychains, and one apparently even gave out butt plugs, which I thought was odd, but then remembered we're in Vegas. And we had a hilarious time at the first day happy hour flinging those around. Good times. Speaking of good times, there are a ton of parties hosted by multiple different companies. I don't have specifics, but pretty much every night you could potentially find a party. And some of these companies spend big money on their parties. So SHOT Show is not just confined to the hours of 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. At the convention or parties, you'll probably run into industry celebrities. While there, we ran into Donut Operator, Mike from Grand Thumb, Colio Noir, and James Yeager, and that's just who we personally saw. I know that there were others there. It was interesting that most of them were smaller than I expected, which makes me wonder what y'all would think of me if you saw me in person. Finally, and this is maybe the biggest one, there is no need to be shy. Exhibitors want to show off their products and want to make connections. And you may even be surprised and wind up with new connections you hadn't even thought of before. I know there were several exhibitors we talked to that wound up offering to potentially send us gear to review that we wouldn't have usually expected. So if you're at SHOT Show next year and you see some crazy guy waving you down, flashing some leg, or fish lining you in, don't be afraid to say hello. So there you have it. Some lessons learned from SHOT Show that may help you if you're planning on attending in the future as an attendee or an exhibitor. If you've been to SHOT Show before and have any other thoughts, please, please, please add them in the comments below for the benefit of others. If you haven't already, use those trigger fingers to like and subscribe. As I just said, we've got new products headed our way to review, so jump on the bandwagon so you don't miss out on those. As a reminder, I've got a book on Amazon that I helped to co-author, The 6 Bullets You Can't Leave Home Without. We're getting some really good feedback from readers, so grab yourself a copy and see what those items are that could help you in your personal life. Hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe I'll get a chance to meet some of y'all at SHOT Show 2023. Until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and stay tactical, my friends.